Well, welcome to Coffee with Job on Monday morning. You know, sometimes what the Lord does is you're talking about something and then you end up what you're reading, that's what you end up seeing. And I was talking about lions on Friday, and it was really quite amazing because I then read in Jerome about Malcus the Monk, who's a runaway slave who went to stay at an entrance to a cave with his wife, and that's another story, with whom he remained chaste, because that was a big thing for the monks. He'd been forced to be married as a slave, and they were scared to go in because of spiders and everything else, poisonous, venomous snakes and so on. And his slave owner came and sent up his servant to get him back, and they were terrified because they were going to be killed. And the servant came up and he was attacked by a lion and ripped to pieces. And then the slave owner came up himself, and then he was attacked by a lion. And Malchus and his wife were terrified, but they said, well, you know, as they said, we have our chastity, we have our faith, and they were prepared to die, and then the lion just went away. Now, no particular reason for telling you that story, I just thought it was really interesting. They thought it was their grave. And, you know, you think about a story like that and they're saying, well, Lord, we've come this far and now you're going to do this. What are you doing? And here in Job chapter 40, the Lord said to Job, this is verse 1, will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God, answer him. Now what God is saying about Job is that he is a fault finder. He's saying, there's something wrong with the way you run the world. If I were God, I would. And that's the failure of all utopians, of all people who think they can do a better job. And I've heard this so many times, and it never, ever works out. And you know what God is saying? God is saying to Job, I make no mistake in the running of your life, and I make no mistake in the government of this world. God's counsel, in other words, is perfect. Now, I like what Christopher Ash, he cites Kidner actually, it's Derek Kidner who says this. God's speech cuts us down to size, treating us not as philosophers, but as children, limited in mind, puny in body, whose first and fundamental grasp of truth must be to know the difference between our place and God's, and to accept it. Now, what does Job say to this? Then Job answered the Lord, I am unworthy. How can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more. So before Job's questioning takes up several chapters, he has plenty to say, as do his friends. But now, Job has gone full circle, and he's asking God to continue. Chapter 9, verse 14, he'd said, how can I answer him? But by chapter 13, verse 22, he said, I will answer. And chapter 31, verse 37, he says, like a prince, I would approach him. So he's gone from, how can I answer? I'm going to answer. I'm going to be like a prince. In other words, God is going to answer to me. Now, he says, I've got nothing to add. There's a time to be silent. The time has not yet come for the hidden things to be made plain. And I do think this is a great comfort. Much of our life will not be explained this side of eternity. I want you to think of a friend you're praying for. Maybe you are this person. They have cancer and you pray for healing. But the greatest thing you can ask for them is the presence of God. When you experience that, then as Paul says, everything else, all our burdens, all our troubles, all our illnesses, all our strife, all our wars, everything else is light and momentary trouble. Because though outwardly we are fading away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. I think there's wisdom in Job being silent. Not wrong to question, not wrong to ask. But when God speaks, when we hear his voice, when we understand who he is, there is an awe of silence, or a silence of awe, that causes us just to worship and to be thankful that our lives are in his hand. So God bless you on this beautiful day, whether you're in the middle of a storm Eunice in the UK or some storm or else in America, or the cold or the heat or whatever it is. But just remember, He's got the whole world in His hand, and that includes you as well. God bless you. See you tomorrow.